Swazdula, Pedleg family. What the hell is going on, guys? I hope you're feeling good. I hope you've recovered from the shock of what DE has released recently. I'm just going to jump right into it because there is a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover, and I want to keep this video as short as I possibly can, which is one of my strengths. Anyways, so DE just recently, February 1st, I think it was, released basically like little information about the upcoming resonating Quake changes, and everybody freaked out because it was described very poorly, and it was basically just a big fat nerf, and nobody really appreciated that, I guess. And then DE went ahead the next day and actually released a workshop about all of the changes, all of the buffs, all of the nerfs, everything condensed into some really good solid information. And after that, they even went into a surprise 2-hour long ass stream to explain everything and show it to you, okay? Now, since I know that you can't be bothered to watch a 2-hour long fucking stream, which I can totally understand, I'm gonna try and condense everything even further for you, okay? So let's quickly go through everything. I'm going to give my 2 pennies on it and kind of just explain what's going on, except for Ash, Chroma, and who was it? Banshee, because they were teasered and previewed quite well. But I am going to give my 2 pennies. So Blade Storm is getting a little change. To me personally, I think that it is a nerf in disguise, because the Blade Storm does not immediately make you invulnerable. You actually have to opt in manually, which just adds a second step to becoming invulnerable during Blade Storm. So I don't know how it is about Ash mains. I personally am not an Ash main. I don't play him too much. I do like him, but I don't play him too much. I also don't use Blade Storm that much anyways, so I couldn't care less. But, you know, let me know what you think about that. To me, it's a bit of a nerf in disguise, but okay, whatever. I'd rather see his crosshairs become a little bit larger, kind of like Misa's Peacemaker. I think that would make more sense, but that's just me. Okay, then we got Atlas. Atlas is touched wonderfully. He's going to get a lot of nice synergy. I'm super hyped to play Atlas. So, yeah, just going to leave it at that. Not much to say. Talking about Banshee and her Resonating Quake. So, Resonating Quake actually didn't get nerfed. It's much worse. Resonating Quake is dead. It's gone. Bye-bye. No more Quakey, okay? But therefore, they just kind of changed the augment. They replaced it with a new augment, basically, that will allow you to deploy your Earthquake. As you can see here, you basically just cast the ability and it just continues to produce a Earthquake for a short duration, a very short duration, and you can run around as you want freely. To me, honestly, I think that's a good trade-off because it makes Banshee much more solo viable. I know that there are a lot of Banshee artists out there that can already pull it off, but for me, I just really hated using her 4th ability and being stationary and basically just waiting until I run out of energy. You know, to me that just really didn't feel nice. But this is pretty cool. So I'm eager to play around with that a little bit as well. There are some tweaks and some perks regarding the damage and everything, like at range, it's going to deal less damage than in the center, and the duration is very short, of course, but you know, we can fix that with mods and whatnot. So I think that that's a pretty good change, to be honest. Then we got Chroma, who was showcased nicely. Chroma is getting a pretty wicked nerf. Let's just call it what it is. But I think that he's still going to be fine. It's going to take some adjusting for everybody to calm down off of their millions of crit damage or whatever the fuck you were doing, because that is over. But he still is going to be very good at buffing. I really like, however, that his Spectral Scream is going to not affect your mobility. You're going to be able to move around freely as you want while vomiting on everything in your path. So that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, so I pretty much agree with that. Let's move on to the next. Ember. This one made me kind of nervous because, as you guys know, Ember is kind of my boo-boo among 3 other frames. Ember's World on Fire is basically being changed to stop people from using World on Fire, pressing 4 and forget, basically. We know that DE doesn't like that. Honestly, for me, If you're doing every mission with Ember, pressing 4 and just speeding through it and killing everything, I feel that you're a little bit dumb, a little bit of a retarded player. I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's just my opinion, because all Warframes can do a hell of a lot more than just press one damn button, okay? You're not getting anything from Ember if you're doing that. But, I mean, that's your playstyle, you can do what you want. But anyways, that is dead, okay? What's happening is World on Fire is going to deal more damage. It's more damage than it is right now, so it's got a buff in terms of damage, so you'll be able to deal with enemies a lot better. However, it will have a duration-based increase in stats, so it'll count from 0 to 100% over the course of 10 seconds, right? It's going to be kind of like Hysteria on Valkyr right now, where your efficiency will decrease over time, and your damage will increase over time, and also your radius, your range, will decrease over time, okay? So you're going to want to manage World on Fire a little bit better than before. That's pretty much the only thing that's changing about that. Again, I don't think that's too terrible. That doesn't affect my playstyle with Ember very much at all, so I'm good with that. Then we got Gara's Mass Vitrify. Pretty easy buff right here, not much to say about that. Basically, what Vitrify is going to do is it is going to take all the enemies that you catch in the Vitrify effect into account to calculate the strength of your glass wall. So the more enemies you catch, the more enemies you basically glassify, okay, the stronger your glass wall is going to be, which is going to make it harder for high-level enemies to break through it, because currently they break through it like wet tissue paper. That's pretty much the only thing that they're doing with Gara. Again, that's pretty cool. Then we got Mag. My other baby, my baby. I was really nervous about this and kind of surprised when I saw that they're going to touch Mag at all, because I think Mag is pretty damn awesome as is, but whatever. What they're doing is basically Polarize is going to have a small change. The shards that you can create with Mag, as you can see here, are going to deal more damage, and they're going to scale with your modded damage. Okay, so you're basically just going to be dealing a hell of a lot more damage to anything in your bubbles. Okay, so that's really cool. I don't mind more damage. I mean, I already wreck everything that stands in my way with Mag, but okay, hey, I won't complain. I won't complain. And secondly, this is really, really odd. Crush. Crush has 3 instances of damage. The pickup is the first one, and then she does a movement, that's the second one, and then she actually does the crush animation, which is the third one. And in the future, what it's going to do is that every instance of this damage is actually going to cause Mag to emit a pulse or some sort of charge or whatever that is going to replenish her and her teammates' shields. I don't really see why that was needed, but okay, it's they said it's for the noobs. I'm not gonna complain. It's a buff, but oh well. So that's pretty cool. And then Volt. Oh my God, Volt mains Rejoice. I do not play Volt very often. I don't enjoy Volt, and I didn't ever really care about any of the changes made to him, to be honest. But I am seeing the issue with the damage cap, because that is pretty freaking annoying, right? Well, damage cap is no more. It has been removed. You can scale the damage indefinitely, and they've increased the base damage output from 750 to 1200. So that's pretty reasonable, and you can wreck some stuff. Again, they made a little tweak to make it not too crowd control-y and making basically the mission void of enemies. It's kind of like Banshee's Resonating Quake, or Nuclear Quake, I guess what it might be called. The further away enemies are, the less damage they're going to take, and the less they are going to be crowd controlled. So the duration of their stun is just going to be decreased a little bit the further out they are. However, in the center, or close to the center of wherever Volt casts his discharge, is going to be full damage, full potential. And then we're going to come to, last but not least, Zephyr. Hell yeah. Zephyr is having some really, really good changes. However, Zephyr is definitely subject to change, okay? There is nothing definite about her yet. They are probably going to change something. I can very well imagine that. But currently, this is what it looks like. Zephyr's first and second ability have been combined into one ability. So now you can use Tailwind and just, you know, aim into some direction and use Tailwind like you always could. And if you want to do the dive bomb, you just have to aim down towards the ground at a certain angle, and then boom, you'll do the dive bomb. So it's basically 2 for 1. I really like that change. That's pretty nice. On top of that, you can charge Tailwind, which will launch her into the air, and she'll actually stay in the air, stationary. She'll hover in the air. So, hey, guess what? The bird Warframe can finally fly. Who knew? So that's pretty good. And then they replaced her second ability, Dive Bomb, with Air Burst, which is currently being called, which is basically a Rasengan, I guess. Okay, so she discharges some kind of an air projectile or something thingy that will do AoE damage upon contact and ragdoll enemies or whatever, something like that, right? I don't care. It's cool and I like it. I'm also surprised that the change did go kind of towards what I was hoping for. That I mentioned it in a video a while back. You can go check that out if you want to, but you don't need to. So that's definitely pretty cool. On top of that, there's a little bit of synergy going down with her too. You can actually shoot the Rasengan into your tornadoes and make the tornadoes larger. How that is going to affect the tornadoes in terms of damage or whatever, I don't know. But speaking of which, the tornadoes are experiencing a massive upgrade. They're smarter. They're not stupid anymore, because they would just spawn wherever the hell they wanted and just kind of be like, oh, where am I? Right? And now they'll actually spawn where you aim to, so it's going to be exactly like Hydroid's tentacles, right? And on top of that, they're also going to be smarter in following a certain track, following enemies, trying to catch those enemies, and it's going to do a better job at holding enemies in the tornado, and it's probably not going to be as crazy and wild as it currently is. So it'll make it easier to actually kill the enemies. Speaking of killing enemies, the Zephyr's tornadoes are going to act probably a little bit like Mag's bubbles, because everything caught in the tornadoes is going to take damage that you fire into the tornadoes, which makes sense, and I kind of don't get why that wasn't implemented in that way in the first place. But okay, we've got it now, and it's really cool. So you can fire at the tornadoes and basically introduce more damage into the tornadoes. Also, the tornadoes are going to adapt to whatever elemental damage type they take the most. Currently, what they do is they just take whatever was the last one, so you could basically make a disco tornado. Until you hit corrosive as elemental damage type for the tornadoes, that would just stay there, because that's kind of like top tier elemental damage, right? Well, now it's going to take into account whichever elemental damage is the most. So if you deal 100,000 damage in fire and 50,000 in corrosive, it's going to stay fire. Well, that's probably kind of okay, I guess. That makes sense. So that's it. This was the quickest rundown I could possibly do about all the changes. Let me know what you think. I personally think there are a lot of buffs, a lot of changes. I can understand that Chroma players are probably going to be a little bit salty. I'm really sorry. But the only thing that it really messes up is kind of like solo play, I guess. If you stay in a team and you buff each other, I guess it's okay. But speaking of Chroma, he also got the ability to vex armor allies. So it's not just Chroma who is going to benefit from the damage increase. It's actually going to be the allies as well. But still, I mean, he's more of a, you know, team player now, I guess. So let me know what you guys think. Are you happy with the changes? What would you have changed? Do you have any issues? Do you have any fears? Whatever. Let me know in the comments section. Let's discuss this shit. And ETA for this is probably somewhere around next week-ish, which is probably going to be around like the February 8th or 9th-ish, something like that. But that is not definite at all. It could be a week later. We don't know, quite frankly. But it is kind of, they are going to try to do it till next week, okay? So let's just wait and see and test them out and have some fun. Alright, cool guys. So, as always, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and peace out.